Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about customers. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, in your experience, do software developers enjoy talking to customers? That very much depends, I would say. I would go one further and I would say some software, like, it's really down to the person in my experience. Sometimes you have software developers who are very sociable and do enjoy talking to customers or stakeholders, depending on how you want to slice it. And then you have the more introverted people who kind of just want to focus on their coding and so forth, and that's all they want to do. So the thing is, though, this is one aspect to the whole. You've heard probably before, yeah, we value soft skills at this company, etc., etc. The reason why we do that actually ties in to this. So the problem with not having an interest in talking to customers or stakeholders, so the people who are setting the requirements or not understanding the business part of the company that you're working for, is that you as a software developer will be very ineffective at your job generally. The reason is very simple, and this is something that to me is kind of weird that some people, I'm not saying that it's weird necessarily, because in many cases it's just plain old laziness from the software developers or a lack of interest. You see, your job, quite literally, is to convert the domain problems of the business to code. That's what you do. And if you're following along, that kind of indicates that you need to at the very least know a few things about the business in general. You need to understand some part. I'm not saying that you have to be like a full-fledged customer support person or a full-fledged product owner or salesperson or whatever. I'm saying that you as the software developer, and this is unfair, I'm sorry that this is on you, but unfortunately we can't ask the salespeople to write the code for you, so it becomes your job to understand more of what they do than vice versa, usually. I know that there is like this weird thing where we pat the non-technical stakeholders for understanding some stuff about the developers as like, oh, good for you, you understand that software development is tricky, but at the same time, like, the software developers, they actually have to understand quite a lot about how the system needs to function, and ergo how the other departments and the different stakeholders, how they work. So it's not really as simple as saying if you enjoy it or not. As I said, I think that's a very personal thing, but I would like to say instead, is it important? It's not important for you to like it, it's important for you to do it. That's what I would argue. I would go as far as to say that if you have, this is it's not necessarily the same thing, but the tendency I see in some developers to kind of avoid, or just isolate themselves and just kind of focus on their thing, that is the thing that a code monkey does. But even a code monkey, I would say, a code monkey is a better beast than this sort of behavior, because even a code monkey understands that you have to understand some parts of the company in order to be able to write code. And I'm not saying that necessarily the more you know, the better you're going to write software. It's more about the decisions that you make are inevitably tied to the business. As an example, you might think that, well, we have this feature that we're building and it's this huge big thing and it seems very, very large, etc., etc., and you invest a lot of time in it, etc., etc., and then the week after the company does something else that's been going on for a while that now changes the requirements on this massive implementation that you made, but because and unfortunately this is kind of the hard, this is really one of the hard parts of software development, you didn't know about that, so you didn't plan for it, and that's the balancing act, isn't it? Should I optimize this code here and now because tomorrow there's going to be a feature that is going to tie into it? Do I make that bet because it could be wrong and I can create something today that is actually really shitty for today's use case, and maybe that second use case never comes along? But the more you understand of how the people in the business side work and how the company's making its money, the more customer feedback that you have, and like all these needs, it's similar to being the spider in the web. If you know how all the strings dance, you get this holistic understanding. It's almost a little bit like a sonar thing, where you sort of understand what's going on and where you should put your time and where you shouldn't put your time. And that sense, that sixth sense, is the thing that makes you a really effective senior software developer. It is the thing that is probably, it's one of the most powerful things that you can learn how to do if you want to be an architect, or even if you just want to make good technical decisions for the code that you are writing. Because without understanding your customers, without understanding your stakeholders and all that stuff, it's going to be really hard for you to maintain a good code base, because as I said, the code is a reflection of the business. And so if you don't understand the business, the code is not going to be good. So what I want you to take away from this is that on average, there is, like, everybody's different. Some developers do enjoy the collaboration and like discussing and cross functionality and so forth, and some developers just want to sit in their own corner of the universe and do their thing without being bothered. They hate meetings. They hate I'm not saying they hate everybody. They just they don't feel a natural inclination to socialize with other people. Everybody's different in that aspect. The thing I would advise is that you should only practically surround the decision-making people with the sociable software developers. It's fine to have like CodeMonkey, lone wolves type of people to an extent. They need to be sociable enough, but you don't have to have every single person who is like a coder in every single meeting with every customer. You just need to have the right coders in place and make sure that you empower them to kind of knowledge share to the other people in the team, so that you can be certain, or at the very least a little bit more sure, that when your software developers are making decisions or writing code, that they are doing so with a holistic understanding of what you're trying to achieve within the company and what the needs of the customers are. Because at the end of the day, the best thing for you is if your software developers has that perspective, because remember, it's them who are writing the code, and since the code is a reflection of the company, the code will be better if the person writing the code understands how the company works and what the needs actually are. Have a great day.